The last theory that we will look at today was developed by Carl Rogers. Now, Carl Rogers was a psychologist and a psychotherapist, and he was also one of the most important proponents of the humanistic approach of progressive education. Now, he says that learning can be classified into two main types, cognitive and experiential. He says cognitive learning is nothing but the academic or the theoretical learning that is given through textbooks in most schools. And he says that this is not very effective. And he emphasized more on the experiential learning aspect. Now, there is one interesting experiment that I remember reading about, wherein scientists placed one computing device. It was a kiosk which had a monitor and a computer inside it, and it had a keyboard and a mouse, which could be operated by some children. Right? So they took this kiosk and they kept it in an area with low income families around it. And they didn't give any instructions. It was just a kiosk which was left in a proper open place, and it was connected and it was working. Right? And they saw that children would come there, and they were very curious about what is this device. They tried to operate it and they tried to learn from it. They tried to interact with it. Now, without any instructions, over a period of time, children were able to explore that device. They were able to figure out what all they could do with it. They learned how to play games with it. They learned how to access the internet in it. So that's how, without any specific instructions, children were able to learn a lot of things just because they had access to a device. And this says that if the learning is self-initiated, because children were interested in learning things by themselves, right? So if it is self-initiated, it is very, very effective. And he says that because of the personal involvement, that is because children are not just passively receiving information, because they are actively involved in this teaching and learning experience, the learning is more effective. And the evaluation of how well the learner is learning something or not learning something is also done by the learner himself, because if the child is actually doing something, then the child knows whether I'm doing well or not doing well. So the evaluation also happens by the learner. And there is a pervasive effect, because we are talking about applied and practical experiences. This is not theoretical knowledge which can be forgotten very easily, because the children are doing it hands-on and they are personally involved in it. So they tend to remember that for a much longer time. So that is a pervasive effect he talks about. And in his theory, he says that the role of the teacher is to make sure that there is a positive climate or a good atmosphere for the children to learn. Right? And he should clarify what is it that the children are trying to learn, and what is the purpose of this teaching learning exercise. So he should clarify the purpose, and the teacher should make sure that all the required resources are made available to the students. And he should also balance the intellectual and emotional components. That is, if you just leave it to the children, then they will just play games for the entire day. Right? So the teacher should make sure that the academic part and the emotional part, that is the fun part, are equally balanced. And the teacher should share feelings and thoughts with the learners to make sure that they have somebody to talk to so that they can share their experiences. But the teacher should not be dominating. So that was Carl Rogers' theory.